player. I guess start with sharing a little bit about your journey to becoming a financial expert and part of the Dave Ramsey team.
Sure, absolutely. Well, after college and playing team sports, which really gave me an incredible background to understand the value of team, I kind of took that kind of mentality about team into the business world. And so obviously, my dream of making it to the NFL didn't come to fruition. So what did I want to do? I started coaching for a little while before I entered the business world. And so that's where I really started to understand money. How does it work? How does it impact people? And so having goals in business is important. And so I was starting to see the importance of goals there, but also financially, and how people could make progress when they focused.
So, I want to make sure that our listeners' eyes don't glaze over or they don't start to feel a little weak in the knees. Explain the mindset behind the trepidation that people feel when it comes to talking about money. Why is money such a taboo topic to the point where we even lack the proper education in managing it, which, I firmly believe we should be taught starting at an early age. What's with this topic? What's been your experience with it?
Well, I think money is very personal. Everyone's made mistakes with it. And if you don't know how to properly handle it, the problem is you get into bad habits. You keep making those same mistakes over and over. And so it's no longer a mistake. If you keep making it, now it's called a choice. And so for a lot of people, they feel shame and guilt centered around money, and so they never ask for help. And so I want the listeners out there to hear this and understand, asking for help is not a sign of weakness. Getting help is a sign of strength.
So, obviously money is an emotional topic for people. So explain how we can start that dividing line to begin with. How we can separate our emotions from our money so that we can start making the necessary financial decisions without our emotions getting in the way and making us act, as you mentioned, stupid.
Well, you're absolutely right. Money is a very emotional topic. But one of the things people have to do is you can't confuse a want with a need. We see these commercials out there and they make you feel bad about what you have or make you feel bad about what you don't have. And all of a sudden down inside of us, it creates this need that we think. And really, it's not a need, it's a want. And so what I want people to do is be grown up enough to tell a want that it needs to wait. You've got to take care of the things that are necessary. Do the things that are important for you and important for your family. And don't ever get want and need confused.
Tell the want it needs to wait. I like that. All right. So let's focus it right here at the tip of the spear. Tell us the number one mistake that people make when it comes to their finances.
I think the number one mistake is a lack of awareness. People aren't aware of how much they make. What I mean by that is not their salary, but how much they're bringing home. People aren't aware of where their money's going, i.e. when I'm talking about budgeting, controlling the money, and they're not aware of how debt works. And so that lack of awareness is very dangerous all the way around. So I think when we shine the light on this topic, when people see what it is and how it works, they can start to make progress.
So let's start talking about how it works. Let's start with the one word that people hate hearing probably more than anything, and that's the word budget, right? People cringe or recoil because they think that budgeting means sacrifice or going without. So set us straight. What does budget really mean in terms of our money?
To me, a budget simply means that you're being the boss of your money. What I mean by that is you understand exactly what it takes for your family to run, your household to run, month in and month out. You have that awareness. And so instead of the word budget, because a lot of people, you're right, they hear that and they start to sweat or break out into hives. And so I say, instead of calling it a budget, just call it a cash flow plan. Because I'm going to intentionally know how much is coming in, and I'm going to tell every dollar where it needs to go and when it's allowed to leave.
Good. I like that. A cash flow plan. All right. So lay out the how-to for us here briefly. Tell us the best means of tracking our money so that we can create and then stay on this cash flow plan.
Well, I'm going to tell you, we actually have looked at this and we came up with something to help people truly begin to not only control, but know where they are. And it's called Every Dollar. Everydollar.com is a place where people can go and they can begin to keep track of their money, understand exactly where it is and where it needs to go. So they can start to tell their money where to go. They can look at it on their smartphone and always be in control. But I can tell you what people need. You can just get a pen and paper, sit down and acknowledge how much are your utilities, how much is your rent, how much is your mortgage payment. I need you to understand what you have to pay month in and month out. Once you start to do that and you understand how much income is coming in, you can begin to boss your money around. You can put a leash on it, because if you tell a $10 bill to sit, it doesn't leave until you give it permission.
So, when we start down this path here, okay, so obviously a key to resolving the mistakes that we've made in the past and the fears that we've got when it comes to money and our finances is to take control and have a plan of action. So lay out the steps for us. What are 3 or 4 steps that we need to take to begin the journey of better controlling our financial future? You talked about laying out all of your expenditures and then all of your income and seeing exactly how it washes out. So let's say that's the beginning starting point. What do we do thereafter? Give us 3 or 4 additional steps to add on to that one.
Well, actually, I do have 3 steps. I call it the AAA process. I want you to assess, acknowledge, and then activate. And what I mean by that is, look at where you are, assess where you are financially right now. What are your goals? What are your visions? What are the things that you want to accomplish? But let's understand where you are currently. How much debt do you have? What is your current income? Once you assess that, now you can acknowledge areas that you need to control better. Where can you improve? How are you going to attack debt? And once you acknowledge that and you start to understand that if I'm not making a payment on debt, that money gets to stay with me. I'm giving my family a raise. And once you've assessed and once you've acknowledged, now you do the most important thing out there, and that's activate. I want people to activate a plan of action and start to take steps in the direction of where their dreams are. That's called progress.
So before our interview today, Chris, I asked the success community on my Facebook page, on blogs, and on Twitter and so forth to give me their need-to-know questions about money and finance. So to round out our discussion today, I'm going to ask you just a few of those that came in. I mean, quite a few of the questions that came up centered around saving while also starting a business. So talk about how much we should be saving and how much entrepreneurs like those listening can save, yet still invest in and grow their budding businesses.
Well, I love entrepreneurs. I love their hearts and their passion. And so what I would tell people that if you're trying to grow your business, what I want you to do is make your dream business your current part-time job. What I want you to do is get serious about it and start to cut out some things. Maybe it's watching TV. You're going to give up some stuff so you can make some other stuff grow. So I would tell people, start to get intentional with it. Save up so you can start your business the right way. There are so many misnomers out there about how much people have to start a business. And so people can start that without money down. They can start to do things the right way by understanding how their business works and where their opportunities are. Be serious about it. Do a business plan. Know your competition. Know where your opportunities are, and then get started. Nobody has to give you permission to be successful. That's a permission slip that we sign for ourselves.
Yeah, and I'd say there's a big difference between an expense and an investment. Right? I mean, we have expenses that we probably need to cut back on dramatically in our lives and probably inside our businesses as well. But investments like investing in training and development, investing in the right people to build your business with, investing in the right systems that it's going to take to scale instead of building and blowing up your business. Big difference between expenses and investment. So, the formula I'd suggest is reduce your expenses as much as possible and increase your investments as much as possible while staying into your cash flow or / budget, as we talked about before. I'm going to ask you this question. How much of making money is a mindset versus an action was the question. I mean, obviously it's a combination of both, but which one has the greatest impact in your view, and how can we strike a balance between them to raise our money IQ?
That's a great question. I think we've all made mistakes not understanding how money works. So I think there is definitely an aspect of the head knowledge, the understanding things, but then we also learn from our mistakes. And so what I would tell people is that, and my answer to this is, if you're trying to make money and be successful with money, then it's going to be 20% head knowledge, but it's 80% behavior. It's our actions. It's being able to control ourselves. Like I was talking about earlier, understanding the difference between a want and a need, and then not allowing that want to push you off your game plan. So when you're focused that way and you take those actions, you understand that I'm being offensive by helping my dream grow, and I'm playing defense by preventing anything from distracting me from my goal.
Well, let's do a little more defense here then. Another great question here is, what are some of the common debt traps that people get themselves into? And then how do you recommend people get themselves out of the ones that you've identified?
Well, I think debt has become so readily available to us. If you walk around any airport, there's somebody in there peddling a credit card, offering you a free flight. And so I would say credit cards are definitely dangerous. Car loans are also dangerous. And so you start to look at that. There are 7 and 9 year car loans right now. I mean, that's mind-boggling. 7 to 9 years. That's a long time of making a payment of principal and interest. So I would tell people, have awareness of how debt works, and that if you're paying interest, you're being penalized. So have that awareness. If you do have yourself in that predicament, what I would do is sit down, let's acknowledge how much you owe, make a listing of your debts, list them out from smallest to biggest, and we call it the debt snowball. I'm going to attack the little one first while making minimum payments on all the other, and I'm going to move on down that list until I get to the bigger items. But once I get out of debt, I'm going to close out that credit card, I'm going to shut it down, and I'm never going to go backwards.
You know, one of the things I love about some of Dave's advice is, what he calls the 6 stupid taxes that people pay voluntarily, right? Like playing the lottery. Anybody that basically takes $1 and hands it over the counter to buy a lottery ticket is just deemed stupid, right? I mean, your chances of winning the lottery are, it's far less than getting struck by lightning. I mean, it's actually, you have a greater chance of being crushed by a vending machine to death than you do winning the lottery. Yet people pay this tax voluntarily over and over and over again. Another would be gambling. Do you remember some of the other sins, or what are some of the ones that in the clients that you're dealing with directly, that you're like, I can't believe you're spending that kind of money on this? What are 3 or 4 that maybe somebody listening goes, uh-oh? What are 3 or 4 that you see?
Well, I can tell you, there's some that jump out to me. Having worked with people in Hollywood and up in New York, I had one gentleman, they were spending about $5,000 a month eating out. $5,000 a month. And he sat down and he started to add that up. And I told him, I said, you could have hired a personal chef for $3,000 a month. And so that, looking at eating out, that's a big deal. Also, your weekend spending habits. You see, we get out, we work hard Monday through Friday. The problem is that we celebrate Friday through Sunday. And that's the time that people spend the most amount of money. So what I want people to do is, listen, I'm fine with you having some stuff. I just don't want stuff to have you. So let's get on a budget and let's start to have fun, but within some constraints, some set dollar amounts. And that's how much you're going to spend over the weekend or eating out or whatever it is. That way on Monday, you don't wake up frustrated financially with what happened over the past weekend.
Yeah, great point. Now, this question I know speaks to certainly your strength zone, and that is retirement. Obviously, we don't want to have to work forever because we have to. We want to work forever because we absolutely love to. But what are your best recommendations for retirement investing strategies? Any ideas beyond the convention of, mutual funds and the rest of the snore stuff out there?
Well, I can tell you this. There are many options out there for investing. And one of the most important things is for people to understand their risk tolerance. What is their expectation? How much risk are they willing to take? And what is their time frame that they're saving toward? One of the things that I know is that in retirement, it's not an age, it's a financial number. And so I want more people in 40s and their 50s walking around living their dream, starting their dream business, or maybe they're doing what they're doing right now. But I want people to have that option. So understand the investing. If you don't understand what the option is or what the investment professional is telling you, then don't do it. Don't do anything you don't understand, because it's your money. It's the money that you're trying to work to provide for your family and to leave a legacy behind to your kids and your grandkids. So you need to understand it, understand how it works, and what are the potential risks associated with that investment.
Yeah, if I could just share my own personal philosophy, I have a high risk tolerance when it comes to betting on myself, whether it be an entrepreneurial endeavor, a business proposition that I am fully capable of leading and driving and being the one shouldering the burden of whether it's successful or not. But I have a really low risk tolerance when it comes to the money I've already collected. My investment side is low risk. My earning side is high risk. And your advice of, if you don't understand it, you shouldn't be doing it, because that's really the bottom line. If you don't understand the investment vehicle or what it is that your financial advisor is buying, it's probably not a good idea for you to be doing it. And the last bit of this, Warren Buffett's rule of never lose money, right? I mean, once you have earned the money, paid the tax man, paid all the expenses, paid the employees, paid the partners, and you've got money, never lose that. And so if it's possible for you to hand it over to someone or to some investment that you don't understand, and it's possible for you to lose money, not a good strategy. So
it's so important for people to understand, like I said, where they are in life, where they are financially, where they are in their proper income earning years, and then have a strategy overall. Understand that when you hire an investment professional, you're not hiring someone to tell you what to do. You want to think of your money like you're the team owner. You're looking to hire a general manager when you hire an investment professional. You want someone that can help you achieve the goals that you set out to achieve. But we can't toss them the keys to your dreams.
Good.
So you have to keep responsibility for that. You've got to own it, and you've got to make sure you're managing it properly.
Yeah, good advice. All right. So here's a question I really love. Give us some tips for getting children started on the right path with money. I mean, so many of us didn't have money role models growing up, and we want to change that with the next generation. So where do we start? What's your advice?
I think one of the most important things you could do with a kid is to sit down and talk with them. You know, they're so impressionable. They're like clay. We can mold them, but we have to spend the time helping them understand it. And so one of the things that we teach people to do out there with their kids is to understand that there are three categories, three things you do with money. You give, you save, and you spend. And so for the three Hogan boys, they understand whenever they earn commission. Now, hear me when I said that. We do commission. I don't give out allowance. When the boys do their chores, when they do the things on their list, they get paid if they work. If they don't work, they don't get paid. So I'm teaching them something there as well. But when they understand those three categories, now they can start to understand this is what I do with money. And I think that's a great way to give them some great habits. There's also a book out that Dave and his daughter Rachel Cruz did called Smart Money, Smart Kids. And so if people out there want more information on how to raise their kids right and understanding money, that's a book that they can grab.
I like that. Commission instead of an allowance. That's great. I mean, that's earned versus entitled. I like that.
That's exactly right.
Yeah, I like that little switch. And now, do they have an unlimited upside, or do you cap it out? I mean, how does this work, boss?
Well, they have with our kids, they understand they're going to get paid based on their chore and what they're doing. And, they obviously, that's those same habits. They understand that there's obviously a cap. I mean, we're not trying to, entitle them to anything. I want them to earn. But as they perform, things can grow. Like I've done some bonuses for things when they're doing things well with the right spirit. But at the same time, those habits of give, save, and spend, even when they get birthday money in or money in for Christmas, they still automatically fall into those three categories. And they've got their three little envelopes. My boys are proud when they do that with their money. And it makes I can see their little self-esteem growing and them being confident in it. And so that's a good thing. I know with my boys that's a lesson that will always stay with them.
All right, let me make sure that everybody got that. Okay, so your kid earns $1. What do they do with the $1, and what are the three envelopes again?
Yeah, so they sit down. The three envelopes are give, save, and spend.
Okay.
And so let's say, for example, if they had gotten $3, well, they put $1 in each of those three envelopes.
So it's 33% regardless of the amount, like if it's
Correct.
$100 or $10.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah, and you can help them with that, but it's easy for my kids to do the math. They know if they want to go out and buy something, they've got money saved up in their spend envelope, but they know that they don't touch the give and they don't touch the save. And so that's the envelope that they take out with them if we go to the store and permit them to buy something. And so they feel proud when they pull out their own little wallet and spend their own money. You can see how proud they are to get the receipt and to get their change.
That's great. Now, the give envelope, is that give to charity, or would that be giving, like buying a birthday gift for a friend? I mean, how does the give, because that's pretty big percentage on the give side.
It is. And for them, we want them to understand that having a giving spirit is so important. And so that is to charities. That's to the local church, however they want to do it. If they're saving up and, they've got a birthday party or something coming up for a friend, then they're going to use their money in their spend envelope, for that. And mom and dad might chip in and do something here and there on that. But it's a matter of them understanding that they have skin in the game and they understand that money comes from work, not just from mom and dad.
Yeah, I like that. All right, last question for you then. We both know that the saying money is the root of all evil is ridiculous. So set the record straight for us. As your parting thoughts, open our eyes to the positives of money and managing it. I mean, obviously, money is great and it brings us all sorts of wonderful things and wonderful experiences, and we can contribute and give and bring wonderful experiences to other people. But change our perspective to make sure that we have a healthy relationship with our finances as we set out on whatever journey our lives has for us from this point forward.
I think the most important thing is to understand that money is a tool. Money allows us to be able to do the things for the people that we love the most. It allows us to give and impact charities and worthwhile organizations all across the world. It is an incredible tool put in the right hands of people with the right hearts. So when you understand that, you start to look at it, you understand that it's something you've been entrusted with to manage well. And that's what we want to do. Whether we're running our own business or whether we're running our household, you're sitting down looking at it, understanding that I want to make sure that I'm managing this to the best of my ability. It's the love of money that's the root of all evil. Money itself is not an evil thing. It's an incredible tool when put in the right hands of someone with the proper heart.
Let me ask you this one last question here. What is a question that you wish people would ask you, because it's really the most important question to draw out the best piece of advice that you could offer somebody. And it's rarely asked, but it is probably the most important question that somebody could ask you. What would that question be?
It would probably be, why is debt so dangerous? And I would get people, because there's so many cute commercials on these days where, people are laughing and they're peddling credit cards. And I don't think people understand just how dangerous it is. When you have debt requires a payment each and every month. But whenever you use someone